stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Thanks for showing up. The first thing on the agenda has actions on the appointments. Apparently they are not ready, so we will skip. We'll skip over that. And hopefully we'll get through the next one. Jennifer O'Day, come up and sit in front if you wish. Hi. We have something that we have to do at 7. It's just going to take a minute. And then if we're not finished, we could get back to you.
Okay.
This is Miss O'Day, and she has contacted the Selectman's office about drainage issue and flooding from the roads to her home, her garage. I understand this has been happening for a while, and as luck has it, we have the highway superintendent here. And she's been emailing the Selectman's office back and forth, trying to get a date before the board and try to get some information together to bring here. She's furnished us with incidences, examples, her statement, her land map. So, without any objections from the board, we'll let Ms. O'Day state her case, and we'll see what we can do. Now, we can't promise you that we can fix the problem, or if it is our responsibility, but we'll hear you, and then we'll try to decide if what we can do. We'll try to help you as much as we can, but a lot of people come here with issues, and we can't always, the board, the selectmen cannot always solve them for them, so just. All right.
Okay, so I purchased this home on 227 Lord Road, and if you're not familiar with it, it's at the almost the lowest spot down by the Otter River Sportsman's Club. And when I bought it in 2008, I had my first experience with a flood there, and it put about 4 feet of water in my basement, burned out the furnace, and it's not just freak storms, so I'm looking to see if I can get some assistance where somebody can go and actually fix the drainage ditch, put a bigger pipe in that goes in that lowest spot of my property under Lord Road to the wetland of the Sportsman's Club area, because of all my experiences with the rain, if that pipe can't handle it, it just pools right up to where my sunroom is, and it comes right out onto the yard, and it goes under the lattice of the sunroom right into the basement. And I have pictures. And it's not just freak storms, because I've had 6 major floods, and even the latest one, May 29th this year, we had that big monsoon that came through at about 8 o'clock at night, and I was going to California the next day, and within 5 minutes, there was 5 feet of water in the basement. And there's nothing I could do, and I was out there with spotlights and sump pumps. And when I bought the home, there was no sump pumps in the house. And so when I experienced the first rain, I'm like, where's the water gonna go then? So I was lucky enough to have the people I got the mortgage from put in some sump pumps for me. Well, they only put one in the back part of the house, not in the lowest point. So my brother dug a ditch for me in the basement. So I have a nice sump pump down there, but it can't handle the amount of water coming in. And I'll show you this one picture that really shows be the big impact. And there's nothing I can do to stop this, other than what I did this year. After the May storm, I went and invested in a whole bunch of sandbags. So now my house looks compromised with a whole bunch of sandbags all around it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna have.
And a couple better pictures. Here's just some more examples of, this is just one spot bubbling up on the berm. I mean, the water will just come out of nowhere, and there's a lot of like sinkholes in my yard now. So I don't know, and it's kind of close to where the berm is, where the road is. And this is a picture of, there's a telephone pole up, let's see, so that's that telephone pole up here, and the water will even come right down the road and right into the yard. So all the surrounding neighborhoods, water will come right into my property. And this was the last storm we had, and it's not, doesn't show really, but you can see how it's getting to the very top to where it could flood. Because unfortunately that storm on May 29th, it was so dark out, all my pictures didn't come out, and it was just pouring rain. This is it pooling up around the sandbags just a couple weeks ago. And then it gets higher, so where that I put enough sandbags so when it floods, it goes up about 4 to 5 sandbags, about 4 sandbags. And then you just gonna have to wait for the water to recede through that culvert pipe. And then this is it starting to pool up in the backyard because it comes from all directions. Let's see, so this is a good, so there's steps right here, and you can't even see the steps because I got the sandbags here, but when the water is pooling up in the yard, it'll be a big lake all the way to the propane tank, and it'll even get to the point where it's over by the tight tank. So I don't have a leach field, I have a tight tank, and there are pictures, I think I have like one in here where the water was starting to breach over to there. This is another after picture, because there was a picture in that pile of when it was starting to pool up on the yard a couple weeks ago, and then that was even 5 minutes after, and then it pooling up all around by the sandbags. And then like, here's a picture of the ditch. They did clean the other side of the road that's not on my property. You can see the water pooling up over by the tight tank. And then these are pictures of this back ditch, which I know we're not here to talk about that today. But the water comes from, I'm down in this low spot, this is a hill. So it all comes from this road, the back areas, the cul-de-sac, all into this whole yard. And that pipe can't handle the amount of water coming through. So I had my brother's a contractor, and he works for this guy, Gene, and he got his civil engineer to come over to my house. And his name's Christopher Mossman from Trowbridge Engineering. And Gene sent me a letter saying that that Chris actually spoke with Bud Chase, the Templeton Highway Superintendent, and he's familiar with the property from over the years. There's always been problems with it. And he's actually visited the site before, so he wrote here that one of the several problems with this site, I don't know if it was Bud or the engineer that said this, but that the significant problem is the stone culvert under Lord Road. The dimensions and the conditions of the culvert are unknown. So here's a little email if you guys wanted to see what the civil engineer said. It starts on this. So I love the home, and I understand, like, if some people had issues with it over the years, I don't understand how the house can still get sold if this is such a big problem. And I was not informed of this being a problem when I purchased the home. I had no idea. And I'd like to see if it could get fixed, because even for me, I don't plan on moving out anytime soon, but anyone in the future, it's a beautiful little place. It's just that pipe, from what I witnessed, that one can't handle the amount of water coming through that's under Lord Road. And also, there's also issues with, I think, that back drainage, but I know that's not what we're really here to talk about. But I didn't know if anyone had any idea of who owned this. See where my property line, it like ends here? I have another hidden culvert that this completely overflows and will also add to the amount of water in the yard. But as long as the drain under Lord Road was clear, that water would eventually be able to pass through. And I was told by my neighbor that the ditch that goes through my yard that meets the ditch under the Lord Road used to be an open culvert in the yard. So it was just like an open stream, and then I don't know who put the pipe in. Because I'm thinking that pipe needs to be a little bigger too, and the pipe underneath the road, from what I see, because it just pools up. Now I got hay bales all on that back pipe to hold back some water, and then it'll still breach over, because I'm still getting water from the Lord Road itself. It just runs right off the road like a river. And I didn't know how much information to bring with me, but I have video footage and everything of me being out there with a plastic bag over the camera, videotaping all the water just rolling off Lord Road into my yard. So it's almost like it needs, I don't know if it needs like a little pitch or add like a little berm thing on the side of the road too, to help some of the water from going down into my property. But it's very expensive. I just had to get that furnace repaired. It's a brand new furnace. I had to get it repaired again a month ago from the May storm. And it cost me about $500, and the propane hot water heater, which fortunately my brother fixed for me, because last time it cost me over $600 to get that thing fixed from Eastern Propane. Because once it burns out the pilot and that control valve, it's an expensive fix. So that's every time. And with 2 sump pumps and an emergency submersible, it won't handle the water. So it's not just once every 5 years or once every 10 years. This is every time it rains, I have to tell my job I'm going to work from home, and I'm just sitting there staring at the water, watching it rise.
Across the street from her property where the drain, this pipe goes, is it lowlands over there? Is there any stream or an open ditch where, in other words, where this pipe flows into?
Yeah, there is. As with Jennifer and families before her, we've been down there to clean out the outfall of this pipe crossing. Over the years, the outfall ditch trench, call it a brook. It's not really a running brook, it only runs when it rains out of these drainage pipes. Has filled in, so it's higher than it was 25 years ago. Property's owned by the Auto River Sportsman's Club. After talking with Jennifer this year, I put a crew up there with a flushing machine from the sewer department, and we spent quite a bit of time up there trying to flush while she was in California, I believe.
Yeah.
We flushed out as the best that we could. We're limited to what we can flush underneath the road because it is an old stone culvert. a lot of this water got, my opinion is, a lot of this water got channeled more so down to this low-lying area, her house, when they built Kyle Drive and April Circle. It changed the geographics up on the hills where the water used to go. Now, some of it comes down. I mean, there is drainage on Kyle Drive, there is drainage on April, but it doesn't drain off the private property, backyards and whatnot, how people landscape their property, so she gets it. I feel bad that this water problem wasn't disclosed to her when she bought it, because it's been an ongoing problem since I've been here. At one time, there was culvert ditches that ran down the side of the road that handled the water and sent it across it through this old culvert. But previous owners, they didn't want that ditch in their yard where you're living, so it was filled in and loamed. And I'm just going on recall here, this has been over, 25 years, 30 years. Previous homeowner had put a pipe, added a pipe to the system through her yard to the back of her yard to try to capture the water before it ran across the grass. It's an undersized pipe, but they did whatever they had to do or tried. So that 10-inch pipe has added more water to an already undersized system that crosses the road. So I did talk to Chris Mosman, I gave him about the same history on this. It can be corrected by digging the road up and putting a larger sized pipe. And Chris and I had talked about putting a 36-inch pipe underneath the road because of all this water. That'd be about 60 feet of pipe and a new structure. There's enough elevation to make it work, so.
On the other side of the road though, the outlet, what will it go into?
Well, there's a picture.
And the reason I ask is because, and this has nothing to do with here, but just as an example, down Timpani Plaza this spring with that storm, it flooded down there. Because all the drainage in there, and some of it is only, there's 1,000 feet of it with 24-inch pipe. It's brand new, I know because I put it in. But it drains underneath 68 through a 48-inch cement culvert. But the ditch that it goes into on the other side of the road, and that's what it is, it's just like a stream bed, and it's only controlled by Mass Highway. And they will not spend the money to go in there, dig all the brush out, and dig it down, because it fills in with the silt and everything that comes from Timpani Plaza that drains in there, along with upstream off of 2A and those houses and that little side road there. So Mass Highway won't go in there and mess with it. So it's, the drain pipe's here and it just keeps silting up. So when they had this big storm in May, you got a 48-inch, or 48-inch or 60-inch. Either way, it's big enough to handle all that water. Like I said, all the pipe in there is big, and there's 1,000 feet of it that's brand new plastic corrugated. But, and it's going into that one pipe, it goes underneath 68, it's got no place to go. So that plaza has the drainage to handle it, but where it outflows into, because it's a little higher and not proper flow, like I said, they did all they could do over on that, on the plaza side, but where it exits, and I'm just thinking where the pipe exits on the other side of Lord Road, if it's,
Well,
not in the right condition to handle the water flow, you can put as big a pipe as you want, but it's not gonna,
Well, as I stated,
it's private property over there, right?
right,
But
the outfall, where outfalls out and into Sportsman's Club property, that ditch has, over the years, just filled up. We have no access to go downstream and clean it out. It's all a wooded area. We've gone down with shovels, to a certain point, and shoveled it out. And on the outfall side of the pipe, we put our excavator over there and dig the silt out of there, because a lot of silt does come down. This system also interconnects with some some higher DIs up Lord Road. So it's all of Lord Road, and it's all in proper drainage. It's not sufficient for that type of slope and that much hard surface to drain down to get to her house and cross the road. And then the stone culvert, just multiplies the problem. It's a large stone culvert, but we have no way of inspecting what's happening in the middle of the road. We can look up as far as we can get. We can only get the cleaning machine to a certain point because it is laid in stone. The cleaning hose that goes up there, it's jet propelled, and it gets caught up in the stones. So we've cleaned it out on both sides the best we can. We've cleaned out the structure, which is in her yard, and that structure was put in by request of several homeowners ago because it was just an open pipe at one time, because the water used to come down and just float across the road, and it really handled pretty much, I would say, most storms, if not close to all of them. But the homeowner didn't want that there, hence we built, the highway department many years ago put that cement structure in there, and that's part of your steps to get up to your part of your yard. That was per request. We complied, we did it, we tried to make things right. So that's pretty much the history of what I can tell you.
Yeah, my main concern is if you put a new pipe in, dig the road up and put a new pipe in, where it outfalls, is that gonna change it, or because of lack of place for the water to go, you put in a new 3-foot diameter pipe in there, is the water gonna drain and then, but so much water go in, just back up and just flood anyway?
There are obstacles from the outfall to where it falls down into the woods. Tree roots, trees, everything else.
If the water has no place to go.
Right.
It's gonna continue.
It's gonna struggle, it's gonna struggle to exit the pipe.
That's my main concern with spending the money doing that.
And without getting the sportsman's club involved and permission to go in there and remove tree. Again, it's not someplace we can get our equipment into, to get in there to correct the problem once and for all.
Have you?
This is what it looks like going down.
The,
That's the other side. And then it does have a way to go.
have you approached?
No, I haven't.
Ever approached or talked to the Sportsman's Club to see if they could help out on that side?
Yeah, no, I have not. I didn't take it to that level. I've done everything on the town property side.
It's just. Yes.
Did you say when it was an open culvert before the pipe was put in by the previous homeowner that worked to?
Many years ago, Ken, and this would have been before 2 subdivisions were built on the higher side. Everything has changed, within the last 25, 30 years in that area.
So reverting back to that system would not be a good option, or a likely feasible option, having the open culvert going back through her yard?
No, I don't think it, stone culverts in their day were okay, but they, after years of, falling apart,
Right.
sand falling into them, the capacity of that stone culvert is, I'm sure, has decreased. It can't increase, it only can decrease, so the system needs to be upgraded in there. It will be, could be a costly project by the time we buy the proper size pipe, putting a new structure where her steps are. Not sure you'd be able to use your steps there.
I'm not worried about that.
We'd have to look at what could go in there to handle the flow. And I'm not gonna say that that's gonna correct all her problem, because I've been down there in some heavier rains to observe what's going on, and went through her property up to where the previous owner buried a pipe under the ground to try to capture some of the water off the hill. There's a lot of water that comes comes off that hill.
Yeah.
It's incredible what comes off that hill. It's like a waterfall. So, you know, that's why there's a tight tank there, because there could be a leach field in that property. Not even sure how that house was ever allowed to be built there, honestly.
And there's sinkholes. I walk, like if I go through my yard right now, I can fall in like 6 inches. Because there's so much water that, over the whole yard. So it's kind of scary. There's one hole that we just kept putting gallons of sand into the hole. And then finally I just planted a tree in it.
Is it still there?
The tree is still there, because that's a warning for no one to walk over there.
It's a little shorter than it used to be.
I'm looking
Yeah.
at this picture, and if you wanna walk up, but, and we got 5 minutes, but, see, this is my concern, it's, see, where the pipe outfall comes out, there's a depression there, it's like there's a hole, and then this, where this path where the water would normally go is like elevated.
Right, it's-
And,
It's not a steep drop off from here out into the Sportsman's Club. Now, over the years, we've cleaned this somehow multiple times. And sometimes, you know, we go down and try to monitor it, but we rely a lot on the homeowner, you know, giving us a call to say, hey, you know, across the street, there's a lot of sand in it. The road's not, the other problem there is the road's not wide enough to put down a berm on either side to control the water. You know, it's, you know, Lord Road, it's a
Yeah.
fairly narrow road, so
it's, yeah.
berm on either side takes a foot away from the edge, so, which would make the road even, you know, narrower.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it helps, but my recollection is that about 20 years ago, the entryway to the Sportsman's Club used to flood periodically. And they did something to stop that. It hasn't happened for 15, 20 years. You used to have to drive through water to get to that club. And they did something downstream to correct it. You still do?
Yeah, if it rains hard enough, there's water goes right across the road, yeah.
Yeah, it's a low area. Sounds like a real estate lawyer.
I know.
As low as it gets, right?
Goofed, yeah. Or did the other thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's my thing, is if this is always gonna continue, then what should I don't wanna take the house for a loss. But people would just be better off tearing the place down, so no one will ever buy that house again. And let it be a pond or whatever it wants to be. But unfortunately, I still owe $114,000 on that house.
That's, I know. This is not really the time of the year to start.
I mean, I got the sandbags up, they're not going anywhere. And I don't care if it's an eyesore to people, but it does help right now. The water during the last rainstorm, it would have went in the basement and it didn't because of the sandbags.
I would
Can you-
recommend that, let me put some numbers together, what it would cost to at least increase the,
This approach,
the discharge underneath the road and a structure, and see if I can't talk to somebody down at Sportsman's
Yeah, I was
Club
gonna
to see
say.
if they're, you know, again, it's a wooded area, so it's, other than hand shovels, I
Whatever.
just don't see any equipment getting down there
Yeah.
without taking down some trees to,
well, if it's
Keep
wet,
that
you
ditch
can't do
maintained.
that anyways.
But they just actually cleared a whole bunch not long ago, cutting the trees out. Maybe coming down that other entrance, we can access it with a tractor.
yeah, well, to be honest with you, I've never done any, you know, foot inspection out there to see where it goes, other than maybe 25 to 30 feet off the road. We try to stay on private property.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the
Yeah.
That's the
I would
thing.
Make sure you get permission before you do any.
Yeah, I would look
Yeah.
into, yeah, because there are signs there, no trespassing, so we try to respect that. But I can look into it and report back to the board and keep Jennifer and move through the board and.
Do you have to put berm down on both sides of the road?
No.
Or my side is the side that really needs it. Because I was gonna
Well-
sandbags, I was gonna do something myself, just to keep the water over there.
Just to guide it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is you put berm, you gotta direct the berm into the basins. So at her house right there, if we're putting berm and collecting it. We try to, you know, countryside drainage, as you get the water off the road, some of it does seep into the ground on normal rainstorms, but when you put the berm on it, now you're directing it all to a focal point, and if the unit that she's got there now doesn't take care of the water that's there, now it's gonna add more water. That'd be my
Can
fear.
I ask a question through Jeff?
Yes.
What's on the corner of Tommy Miller's lot? There's your home, there's the driveway. Tommy Miller's got a, what's he got there, culvert or something there? Cement? And then the side of the driveway, did you ever notice?
Yes, he's got a cement, yeah, he's got a cement drainage thing right there too.
And that's high, is that high in the back of her house?
That is higher.
How's that water gonna run uphill?
I think it goes down,
Comes from another direction.
yeah.
The other way.
It's coming down from the road. I know it's coming, I worked there 60 years ago on that road. I know what it is. Runs down there. You get to go look at, actually, that, when old Bill McGann had that house, was all an open ditch. It changed 4 times. When he was on the planning board, with the same arguments then. They blamed it on Billy Manisavage because he built the houses up top. That ain't all from Billy, that's just natural water that runs it. But what's on Tommy's corner? And then when Billy got mad, because he was gonna do some correction on that side of the road, because they blamed it on him, that last manhole before the sportsman's club, because they didn't want the silt to go down into the pond, the top pond. She's got a hell of a problem, hell of a problem.
It's always been a
The
problem.
driveway, you look at that square, you know what I'm saying, young lady, your home, the
Yeah.
driveway. and-
Okay, we're gonna have to, we have to do something here. We'll
Well, I
just
know you have to. She's got-
take a break and then we'll make a final, give you a final thing. The item on the agenda was the bid openings for 252 Ballinville Road, if there were any. Unfortunately, we did not receive any. Bid packets were picked up, but none were returned. And the plan was if we received any, they were going to be opened at 7 o'clock this evening. In light that we didn't have any. Thoughts on the board of other options, different ways? I know Ken had suggested doing, you know, Templeton is open for business. If we could perhaps look into the legalities, what would be entailed in marketing this in the commercial arena versus just the public bidding process. If we can do that, and if the board would think that's worth trying. Yes.
We have complied with state law. We have posted on the Central Register, advertised in the newspaper, on the website, on bulletin boards. Again, numerous people picked up packages or downloaded it from the website. About 10 to 12 people expressed interest. We could speculate why there are no bids, but it doesn't matter. The fact is there are none. I would submit, and I made a request to town council this afternoon in writing, haven't heard back yet, but I'd certainly like the board to consider the possibility of having complied fully with state law. I'm going to say it again so that everybody understands we've done that. Why not turn it over to a commercial real estate broker and see if they can effectively market it on a contingency for a percentage of the sales price, as all commercial properties and many residential properties are handled in the marketplace. I don't know whether that is fully legal under Massachusetts law. On the other hand, I'll say for the third time, we've already complied with Massachusetts procurement law chapter and verse. So it's an option that I'd like you at least to consider. And of course, we will determine whether it's a legal option to do this through a commercial broker.
If it can be done? Does anybody have any objections or reasons? I mean, what the heck? You don't try, you don't.
It's really difficult to sell property of any kind without a broker. And I know that Mass law doesn't, on its face, permit that, at least as the first method, but it's really difficult to sell property, particularly in this market and the kind of property that we're selling, it's not really turnkey without a broker. So if it's legal, I would think that that would be a great idea.
Yep. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, you know.
Motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion made and seconded to, one, check the legality and see if we can do that, and if we can, then we'll pursue with that effort.
I will report back.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Mr. Spring?
Yes, just as a suggestion, I don't know if this can be done. Could we end up, there's 10 people that took, paperwork out, to ask the reason for the reluctance to buy that? Because you would get some feedback there in order to end up saying we didn't like it for this or that, for whatever reason. That would give you a better idea as to why nobody bid on the property. I mean, if somebody comes in and said, I was on the property and I was told not to take a bid on this, that's one reason. Another would be is, I didn't like the layout of the property for this reason or that reason, or the building was not suited. Something that, you need to get some feedback as to why people didn't bid it out, especially if you had 10 people that were initially interested. That's at least my idea.
All right. All right, now further discussion? Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Yes. All right, we've taken care of that. Now we can get back to Ms. O'Day. And I know the time of the year is not really the time of the year to start digging, although, Mass Highway might argue with you, they're digging up everything. Is that acceptable if we'll look into options such as the cost, permission from the landowner across the street, and to keep in contact with you? And I would say in a couple of weeks, if you don't hear anything from us, contact us. And because every once in a while, public officials need a reminder sometimes.
So is there any other recommendation you might have because of how that sunroom is? One thing I was thinking of is building a retaining wall from where it meets those little steps, the wooden step things, just build get some concrete,
Right.
build a retaining wall towards the back of the shed and say, all right, water, stay over there. If you wanna be a pond, be a pond, you know what I mean?
Unfortunately, that would be a job for a civil engineer or someone like that for you to ask if they'll come in and just give you a recommendation without spending money or a lot of money. I don't know, but we certainly can't tell you, suggest this way or that way.
Because I didn't understand too why, when they built the sunroom, why didn't they put a foundation? Because there's foundation, and then where the door is to the basement, the water goes right in. So if there was a foundation wall around it, it would be a solution from keeping, because the water's not getting in any other spot other than that one doorway. So I want to go under my sunroom and build a little wall. But I don't know if that's legal or not. I'm gonna do it anyway, because it's a solution.
Don't tell me that.
All right, I was gonna put sandbags underneath there, because how else am I gonna keep the water?
Don't tell me that.
You know what I mean?
Swimming pool.
I don't understand why no one
Officer
built,
of the court, you didn't hear that.
Right.
but I don't understand why no one built a wall to keep the water from going in that one basement door. Because it would, you know what I mean?
When you put a boat in a bathtub, it usually floats, so if you build something in your house, it would float up.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It could.
Because I didn't get that, and I thought it was maybe zoning. Somebody told me it might have been zoning, that's why they never built a foundation. It's, oh, and that's the other thing, the footings under the sunroom are all washed out. So the sunroom, I'm waiting.
You might not have a sunroom much longer, I don't know.
So, yeah, there's really nothing I can do. I was gonna get under there and at least try to fix the footings, because the sandbags are gonna keep the water out for now. But
It's,
I didn't know if there's any sort of wall or something I could do if the drainage wouldn't get fixed. Because otherwise, I'm just gonna keep a wall of sandbags there, which is hideous.
you could call the Templeton building inspector.
It's out there, okay.
And act. Good luck with that.
He may have some records dating back on that same problem.
So when was your house built?
They said like 1980 something when I bought it, and I know it's not. There, I think it's sitting on an original old foundation, and then someone built like 1, 2, 3 additions off of it.
You should be able to find that information out either from the building inspector and or the assessor's office.
Because when I bought the house, they said it was built in 1987 or something, and I don't
Well,
believe that.
Well, they didn't tell you it flooded either, so it might have been built in 60 or 50
Yeah.
something, you never know.
Well, I remember seeing upgrades to the property over my years here, but I couldn't tell you when it was built. Gentleman sitting in the back probably remembers.
I don't know, the first time I ever remember looking at was Mr. McGann. Sarah McGann on the deed, Bill McGann.
No, but I'm gonna look
Look
that
at the
up.
deed. It was a Bill McGann lived there years ago.
How long ago do you remember? Would that have
60
been?
years?
Really? So the house wasn't built in the 80s?
No, it was 60 years. Bill McGann had a little house about as big as this room here, they kept adding on to it.
Probably a camp.
Wow,
Bill-
that's
Bill-
what it
Bill-
was.
Bill McGann used to work down in Worcester, he'd work nights, and his wife was a kind of a challenge lady, he'd stay home all day and take care of her. Great big man, he always come to Kenny Mohawk, he'd work on
And a
his truck,
history
had a
lesson
big
here.
mustache, he looked like the guy on Clayton, German Army guy.
Okay,
He kept adding on to that house, he said, "Well, I'm gonna talk to you, don't shut me up all the time."
I'm
You
not
think you
shutting
know
you
it all,
up.
you don't know it all.
I'm not shutting you up, Pete.
60 years, it's better than that. I worked on a town when I was 14 years old, I'm 77 now. And that house was all still there, they had the problem that there was an open ditch, as wide as these 2 chairs. Would go right underneath the house, and that's what he used to use for bathroom even. He'd use that bath, the water go down there. That's Bill McGann, check the deed there, you'll see McGann on the deed.
So,
A lot of places in town used to have, like, open
Ditches.
ditches.
Yeah.
Running through
Where
there.
I live down in Baldwinville, they just fixed it. I mean, they used all kinds of CDBG money to fix the drainage
Oh,
and the
yeah.
water down. It was horrible,
Yes,
you know?
that's right.
And we had an old house that we ended up putting a foundation underneath and then tearing the house down and building a new house on top of it. So, it could, so what happened with your property is not unheard of. You know, it was like a chicken coop.
Wow.
Yeah,
The house next to you was owned by a Pratt, Joe Pratt at one time. His wife got stabbed there. He chased the kid all the way to Johnson's Farm, they finally picked him up from the Fertile School. Went there and stabbed, yeah.
The one right next to me, the Miller's house?
Another house, that was owned by Joe Pratt, he had about 9 kids.
Oh.
His wife was stabbed.
so you have some interesting history.
It makes sense, I knew from that basement, that old part that he's talking about is the original part of the house. I knew, you could tell by half of it's dirt, it's not.
but the assessor,
Sorry, we're not
can answer your
much
question.
more help to you, but,
The judge came right in.
So I was gonna, originally when I bought the house in 2008, when I had problems and my bank said, oh, it's too late, you already bought it. And I was gonna go after the bank at that time. I don't, I wouldn't even know
Should've
what
went
it
with
was.
your-
The White House.
went with your thought.
So we'll have Bud work up some estimates, all right, and whether it's gonna address the problem.
business.
Okay.
Do you want your material back? 'Cause,
Do you need the pictures or anything?
no, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
We know where to find you.
Yeah, you can't miss the house with the sandbags. It was a great fix though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It worked. Me, my mother, and my brother got 3 truckloads of sand and got it done in a couple hours.
We'll call you if we ever have a flooding issue.
Yeah, you have sandbag expertise.
Yeah, it actually works. And now I'm all excited when it does rain. I'm like, yes, the sandbags are all keeping the water back. It's a good home, it's just that the water.
But when it's not raining.
There was a young lady came before the board here. You never complained that Cindy Butts. You don't remember going to Cindy Butts? Don't you remember 4 or 5 years ago, the lady that lived there before you came, Cindy Butts was trying to get the problem corrected? For the planning board? Cindy, well, it should be on the record someplace. Cindy came in here, was complaining, the lady at that time wanted something done with the drainage there. Do you recall that, Bud?
Oh, yeah.
And then they all blamed it on the new houses on the top and the water coming down.
I'll have to look at that information.
Yeah, look at that.
It was a foreclosed home when I bought it. I
Yeah,
was thinking I
it's
got
a
a great
nice
deal,
spot.
but the reason why it was foreclosed, I guess.
Yeah, so like, as far as the date and stuff, the assessor's office and or the building inspector should have all that information.
Yeah, so I am gonna call the building inspector and see what kind of fixes I can do temporarily under the sunroom. And then,
All right, the next item is the fire department.
Hey, yeah, let's do the appointment. Do the appointment, Jeff?
You wanna do the appointment first?
Yeah.
All right, Miss Pat Gale
there she is.
for appointment to the Cultural Council. Make the appointment until June 30th of 2014. And then pick it up there since it's in the middle of like the term. So I entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to appoint Pat Gale to the Cultural Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
And yes.
She'll do a good job.
And she brought along some
Some reading material.
some
Thank
reading
you.
material. These
Yeah,
are
it's
free.
it's one of my regular projects, and invite you to look it over, and if there's any events that you have going on with any of the organizations you have that you're involved with, be sure to send us some information.
Right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Stay in touch with me. Jeff,
Now-
you have my email.
Okay, so you.
Now we'll talk about the
Okay.
fire department
Nice to
wanting
meet
to
you.
build something
This is
instead
the-
of tear it apart,
You're right.
like you firemen do.
We're very good at it.
Yes, you are.
So I appreciate everybody
All right.
taking their time.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Deeds, way back in my new seats.
Actually, there's the comments here.
Remember to bring business to Templeton, make the buildings that we have last longer. Increase the lifespan of them. The first picture on there is a picture of the Templeton Center Fire Station showing hurricane damage after Hurricane Sandy came through. They ripped the tin work off the soffit. We got a hold of Chartier and get quotes from 3 different vendors, and they had a truck the next day. They had a lift truck working in the center of town, and they said, "Can you do it tomorrow?" And I says, "How much are you gonna charge?" And we negotiated a price that was well below everyone else's. And we got new tin work put on. There's a before and after picture of the tin work. There's also a picture there of the door projects the bottom of that front door at the center fire station and the back door. The back door would not open anymore, the casing was very bad. And underneath the door, there was about 3/4 of an inch gap that they'd stuck the towel under.
exit
And it had been there so long that the towel had rusted.
Yeah,
In the
I
fire
saw that,
department.
I saw that.
So we got a few prices and replaced both of those.
This is the emergency exit
For the
from
fire
the second
station.
floor of the fire department.
I asked them if wood was
You-
actually a good
you've
thing.
never-
and
yeah,
they
they're
were
all gonna
like,
die if there's a fire in the building. There's
Stairs
no
would be the
stair
first thing to
access.
Joe?
So the permit requests before the board tonight are for the emergency fire escape that you see there. Rebuilding that into a little decking, we're talking about combining the two emergency escapes on the back so that they come down one set of stairs, rather than building two separate sets of stairs and walking across the roof. And the other one is for the doors at Templeton Center Fire Station. And that project's pretty well complete.
Because what we usually the board typically does is vote to waive the building permit fees and things. We do that, it's been done for all time, because it makes no sense to charge them.
So it'd be a pleasure.
Uh,
And then this picture I just brought along to show the cupping in the roof over the glass entryway to School Street. That's not on our short list, it's on our intermediate list of corrections. We've had a few other things that we've done internally that made them a lot better than they were, such as the stairs at Station 2 inside, going up to the cold storage area. We're just a productive group of guys, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to waive the building permit fees for the fire department. It's a total of $105.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Andy? Dan?
Yeah, even though the fees are waived, is the construction required to be inspected by the building inspector to ensure its safety?
It's kind of hard for him to miss it, it's out his back door too.
I'm asking a
No, you know,
question.
he usually does look at the stuff, all we do is just waive
We
waive
pulled the permit
fees.
because it'd be kind of hard to be a regulatory body of the town without having people look at our
Yeah.
work.
It's, yeah, he usually looks at stuff and gets the okay, it's just waive the formal,
Thank you.
waive the.
This has been presented to the building department already, that's fine.
Yeah, have the permits here, requested permits. I just have one question. So this is gonna be expanded to be a deck for 2 exits and a stairwell down.
Yeah.
Will the chief commit to promising not having a barbecue grill on that upstairs deck?
I will not put a barbecue grill on that deck.
Just asking, just
I
asking.
can't speak for the captain, however.
I know the firefighters, it's a great spot for a barbecue grill.
They're great to
That's
cook.
what I'm asking.
You can't keep them out of a kitchen, they're bad that way. The only thing is they can only cook for 100 or more usually, so.
All right, hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
For God's sakes, tear that thing down before somebody falls and gets hurt.
There was one other picture that I didn't print that was a staged picture that Dennis climbed down in the hole where the stair used to be. And he was kind of back like this. I said, no.
Not funny.
No, that's not funny.
No.
Because then the real thing would happen.
I just thought I'd mention it, just not think it were. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. One thing, when that is done, could you bring pictures back
Sure.
to the board? It's
Just
just,
doing before and afters.
well, like I said, people get to see that you're taking care of what we have, you know, what the townspeople own, you're actually taking care of it.
We've got some other pictures of some of the other work we did at Templeton Center with the recycled asphalt that Bud helped us with, and Alan. Looks really nice.
All right, thank you. The next item is documentation from the Templeton Light and Water back in the spring. And I think a couple of times since the original, a letter has been sent or email or phone contact through the coordinator's office. The original request made back in the spring was for all contracts in excess of $5,000. And then there was some correspondence back and forth. The information didn't come, it was asked again, it was relayed, it was in the process, and I believe now we actually have received some documentation from the light department.
I put in your packet this list of contracts, current contracts of over 5,000 for the light department only. Mr. Driscoll called and apologized for the fact they are still working on this, but these are the light department contracts, and they're working on the water department contracts, and we'll deliver them as soon as possible. So they're committed to delivering them, they just don't have them available yet. And I have this stack of paper in my office. It's about an inch thick. I didn't want to kill a bunch of trees, but as a board member who's wanting and willing to look through all the contracts is certainly welcome.
Is there more to follow from the light, did he indicate?
Yes,
Or?
yes, he did indicate there will be more coming. He wasn't very specific, but I could certainly call him tomorrow and ask what, when, and how many. He indicated, and it is understandable, the water department records were not in as good a shape as the electric light department records.
So, but I mean, at least we're getting a response and receiving some information, which is a good sign.
I mean, the request was made per Mass General law. It is a law that's on the books that we're supposed to have copies of all these contracts, in case anyone wants to look at them. So,
As well as the Board of Selectmen as a whole has a right, legal right to look at all of these material and have it reported to the board from the general manager of the light department. I think it's chapter 56. So is that, I mean, it's really just a an information catch-up